excited to welcome you for this last event of the Modern Heritage of Africa conference hosted at University of Cape Town. My name is Thomas Belanda, and it seems to fall upon me to chair this morning's session. But the proceedings are going to be fairly short, but substantive, in the sense that the main item on today's agenda is to officially launch the Cape Town document, which is only one step as part of a very, very long process. And there are two things that we'd like to invite you to contribute to. First is obviously be part of the launch, but second, offer the opportunity to the representatives of the various stakeholders, but also to participants, to publicly state in a very short statement their response to two questions that I'm going to put into the chat. One is, what was the conference about and why you think it was significant? And second, why is the Cape Town document important? And the idea is that we're going to try and go through as many contributions as possible for maybe 90 seconds or so to speak to these 2 points after the document is presented. And in order to do so, I'd like to invite Mike Turner, who more than everybody else has been working behind the scenes over the last months, contributing and coordinating the drafting of the document, to share with us where we are and give a bit of a background and possibly put on the screen the document the way it is. And then we're going to go through a number of institutional representatives to capture their statement, and then open for participants to also give their contribution, and then we'll close for the conference. Shahid, I hope I haven't forgotten anything.
No, that's absolutely perfect, Thomas.
Mike, the floor is yours.
Let me just share screen then. Share screen.
Colleague, just to say that I have go ahead to read this, so I will do it whenever it's ready.
Okay.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Okay, so thank you and good morning, and welcome to the Cape Town document. We are, perhaps it's in embryonic form still, but it is giving birth. The idea of the past year has been to focus on understanding modern heritage and conceptualizing it within the African context. And it is challenging accepted norms about modernism and modernity. It is also trying to present and to show, in fact, that from Africa, the understanding of modernism in its reconceptualization has got greater meaning, and also will then develop a more circular knowledge between not just Africa, but many, many other parts of the world and the Eurocentric structures of modernism. The Cape Town document, therefore, is based on the spirit of the Nara document, which are texts which are accompanying the evolution of the World Heritage and its operational guidelines in texts which are seminal and guide then the approach and the understanding of heritage at large and the World Heritage in particular. It is based, first of all, on a preamble, and the preamble then looks at the people who are in paragraph 1, who are the people who have set up the structure of the Cape Town document at this incredible conference. It also recognizes then the other institutions from the UNESCO World Heritage Center, the Africa World Heritage Fund, the advisory bodies in a wide range of groups and other institutions beyond advisory bodies like MoHoA, who have got specific interests. The next part of it then deals with what are the particular programs which might be relevant, because we are building on existing texts. We are building on the shoulders of giants so as to be able to show exactly how modern heritage is critical. And therefore, we've identified particular programs which relate then to modern heritage, celebrating 2 decades of the program in UNESCO. The next part is also regarding Africa, because we're coming from an Africa point of view, but we're not just simply saying this is an African document. We just do want to relate to the fact that these are aspirations and inspirations which are take on board the Agenda 2063 of the Africa we want. And that also included cultural identities, shared heritage values and ethics, amongst many other aspects of the aspirations. So therefore, finally, it will also look at wider aspects. It will be contextual in of its time. I'm sure that we will see the results of this in another so many years that we will then see that this was a child of its time. And in this space, we actually move ahead in then the actual document itself. The document has got 6 headings, and the first one is then identities and meanings. It's very speaking about identity, the importance of it, and the meanings which modern heritage actually gives. I think that just to speak about just the first sentence is probably the most important part, that the terms modern, modernity, and modernism are complex. And therefore, as totally, we see them as modern heritage. They represent no single history and derive no single origin culturally, geographically, or conceptually. So I think that this is the idea and meanings. The second one, which comes from Africa, to understand that modernism or modern heritage is actually built in ruptures and continuities. And this conflict between the ruptures and continuities is critical for actually positioning then the role of the histories which were taking place. I think we also heard very clearly that modernism or modern heritage is not just simply a chronological history, but it is a philosophy, and it is also a state of mind. The third heading is then expanding these definitions, as I just mentioned before. So taking on board the intangible, the tangible, but putting the intangible in place to make full connections between the tangible and intangible. It is also the everyday, which is so critical. And it also then expands the definitions of rural and urban and bringing these parts all together. The fourth part deals with diversity and complexity. And again, here we have then the importance of what Africa can bring together. It is not one single narrative. It is then the narratives which can come together with this. Therefore, it is the Atlantic Ocean. It is the Indian Ocean. It is also the Antarctica. It is really everything which is around beyond the landmass. The fifth part is that of sustainability and equity. And we thought that modern heritage, or this document, should relate therefore to the demands of our time, the urbanization which is taking place, and the amazing challenges which Africa will face with 50% of its population, 50% of its population being under the age of 20. So therefore, sustainability and equity then responds to the future and the equity from the past. And our last point is that of 6, the cooperation, dissemination, and capacity building is really critical, because it puts ourselves in aspiration 7 of Africa 2063 about how Africa is playing a global role, equally providing this circular knowledge. And in this basis that we've actually then prepared then the document. I hope it wasn't too long. Thank you.
No, I think it was absolutely perfect and comprehensive. And it's really a momentous occasion. Of course, the document is a pretext, right, in the sense of a larger and longer conversation, and it marks the time. And there was some deliberate scheduling of the launch of this document today on the 24th of September, which in South Africa marks Heritage Day. I would like now to move on to the second part, which is capturing statements in response to both the conference and the launch of the document. And we have a sort of set of institutional order, which we'd like to just go through before opening up to other participants. And for this reason, I'd like to invite first to the floor Mohammed Juma, who just confirmed the approval to speak on behalf of the World Heritage Council. So Mohammed, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tom. On behalf of our Director for World Heritage Center, it is a privilege and honor to congratulate South Africa on Heritage Day. In this tradition, South Africa recognizes the importance of giving heritage a role in the life of a community. Heritage is not just about past, but it's also the foundation for the future. And the architecture of today will be the heritage of tomorrow. And nowhere in the world is in Africa, this will be so critical, with 50% of continental population below the age of 20. The World Heritage Center is full partner in the Modern Heritage of Africa initiative, bringing together UNESCO strategies of prioritizing Africa in the Africa 26-3, the prioritization of youth through ICROM Youth Program, Heritage and African Program, in the World Heritage Global Strategy for Representative, Balanced, Credited World Heritage List, redressing the cultural imbalance, the current imbalance. The past years of preparation under the guidance of University of Cape Town and its new Heritage Hub has highlighted the reconceptualizing of modern heritage and the role of Africa in continuing the observation of Pliny and the elder who wrote that there's always something new out of Africa. In preparing this new something, the document, the Cape Town document on the modern heritage, will be a seminal text giving guidance globally to a better understanding of modern heritage in the urbanizing world. The Heritage Center is proud to be part of this journey, which will focus the modern heritage of Africa with a new era of awareness and pride. Our congratulations. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you, Mohammed, and both you and Jyoti for the support that the World Heritage Center has given to the initiative and proceedings. It's really appreciated. I'm now really delighted to call on Dr. Albino Jopela to the floor in representation of the AWHF. And so over to you for a short statement on the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and greetings, distinguished colleagues. On behalf of the Africa World Heritage Fund, we are very delighted to reach this great milestone, which is the initial adoption of the Cape Town document, not only because of its groundbreaking nature when it comes to the conceptualization of a great part of Africa's heritage, but also the prospect that it brings in terms of helping all of us to look into this category of heritage and see its contribution through new lens, which will then contribute more, not only to improve the representation of Africa in the World Heritage List, but also to contribute to the global agenda, such as the sustainability, and also to bring all elements of heritage that is not often recognized and therefore cared for. We are extremely grateful to our partners who have been exceptionally helpful and engaged in guiding us through this process. And we very much look forward to a greater mobilization of the heritage community, professionals, but also scholars and communities and civil society through the process that will follow, as the chief of the Africa unit, Dr. Juma, has pointed out in terms of the way forward. So we are extremely delighted as we reach this milestone, and we look forward to the next steps, which will also contribute greatly to the materialization of the ideals and principles that are enshrined in this very critical and very strategic document. So we'd like to wish you all a happy Heritage Day as we are in South Africa, but a celebration of heritage throughout, especially the modern heritage of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Jobs. That was really great. I'm now going to call again on Mike, who is wearing different hats today. And so I think now he's going to speak on behalf of ICOMOS, I take it.
Thank you, Thomas, as a long-standing member of ICOMOS, but here I'm joining Laura Robinson, who is representing ICOMOS on this initiative. And on behalf of ICOMOS and her as our representative, I would like to express my very sincere congratulations to everyone who has made the conference on the modern heritage of Africa such a success. MoHoA, as we refer to it, is an extremely important initiative aimed at placing at the forefront the rich heritage of our continent, and at the same time addressing these imbalances and misconceptions of the past, particularly in terms of Africa's huge contribution to the understanding and definition of modern contemporary heritage, and which has not received the attention or understanding that it so richly deserves. The debates, presentations, and discussions that have taken place over the past 2 days has shown that Africa has a major role to play in defining a new and inclusive understanding of heritage within the global context, one that will stand out proudly in leading the way to a more diverse view of cultural heritage throughout the world. The Cape Town document is a landmark text that is fully supported by ICOMOS, and one that we believe will be a marker for future considerations of contemporary modern heritage. That is the understanding of the significance, the issues of social justice, community involvement, human rights, diversity, inclusivity within the sphere of heritage. We wish you also a wonderful South Africa Day.
Thank you, Mike and Laura in absentia. It's now my pleasure to invite Professor Edward Dennison in representation of the Bartlett School of Architecture at UCL.
Thank you, Thomas. And hello, everyone. Happy Heritage Day and huge congratulations to everyone engaged in the heritage celebrations in South Africa today. As Thomas said, my name is Edward Dennison. I'm Professor of Architecture and Global Modernities at the Bartlett School of Architecture, University College London. And we're extremely proud to be a partner of MoHoA over the last 18 months and will continue to stand alongside in the future. This has been an exceptionally important conference because it's the first time that Africa has been placed center stage in the research and dissemination of knowledge on modern heritage. The purpose of this exercise, which is part of an ongoing collaborative project with global partners, is to reveal, critique, and redress the Eurocentricity not only of many heritage practices, but also and especially modern heritage, which is deeply embedded in and founded on assumptions of European or Western preeminence. The conference is an important step in the development of the Cape Town document on modern heritage, as we've heard, which seeks to reframe and reconceptualize modern heritage and heritage practices globally. For me, personally, one of the opening statements of this document is the most instructive, and if I may just take the time to read it, Mike did touch on it. The terms modern, modernity, and modernism are complex and interrelated. As modern heritage, they represent no single history and derive from no single origin, culturally, geographically, or conceptually, but are part of a constellation of multiple historical experiences born out of local, regional, and global networks that have grown to have a planetary impact. We look forward to developing the ideas and conversations that began at this conference in a follow-up conference next year at the Bartlett Faculty of the Built Environment, this time next year, and furthering the decentering of modern heritage in a global frame. Until then, very best wishes and many thanks to all the participants of this conference, and happy Heritage Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Can I call on my colleague Shahid Wardat, who's going to speak, I think, on behalf of the Center of African Studies at UCT.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, indeed, I speak on behalf of the Center for African Studies and its director, Professor Lungisile Ntsebeza. I want to thank the presenters and participants of this conference. They have researched and presented their findings, their thoughts, concepts, theories, their experimental performances, the actual and real displays of their culture together with their reflections and self-analysis. We all discussed critically, debated with great force, and with respect for dissenting views. I also want to thank the CMC Zoom technologists, particularly Deirdre, Janet, and Jacques, who set up the Zoom conference and managed behind the scenes many of the gremlins and accommodated many of the last-minute changes with wit, patience, and decorum. About 2 years ago, when we first started this discussion amongst a small group of us, little did we know that it will result in this significant conference. The conference crossed many crucial issues about what we think are critical to rethinking the current understanding of modernity within the policies of the World Heritage Organization, with specific reference to Africa. This was, in fact, one of the main reasons for the conference, to rethink the past and the present, reflecting on the multiple, often unequal experiences of what modern means for African people in the context of heritage and their long historical association with the rest of the world. There are valuable lessons to learn from this global shared but contested heritage of Africa and its entanglement with the rest of the world. It's also fundamental to reframing Africa's and other southern countries' contribution to the world in ways that not only remind us of the unequal and discriminatory past, but that the future must proceed in a way that seeks to end structural inequalities and racism and move to a period of greater justice. Of course, this must simultaneously address the existential crisis that humanity faces at the moment. Addressing human sustainability and justice in the future, alongside acknowledging the value of Africa's heritage and its contribution to humanity, is an urgent modern agenda. These issues are addressed at multiple points in the Cape Town document, such as Edward has already pointed out, modernity represents no single history and derived from no single origin, culturally, geographically, or conceptually, but are part of a constellation of multiple historical experiences in all its ruptures and continuities over long periods, including the European colonial period. The Cape Town document represents the beginning of changing the long-standing views that European civilization represents the only solution to human progress. My colleagues and I, together with the support of the University of Cape Town and the University College London, with support from all our colleagues here, AWHF, the World Heritage Committee, ICROM, ICOMOS, and others, we look forward to continuing the dialogue towards the conference in London and finalizing the Cape Town document. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shahid. And now it's my great pleasure to invite Dr. Olga Białystok, who was our first keynote speaker and better than many of us was able to frame the tone for the conversations in the last couple of days, to offer her a few remarks. Thank you, Olga.
Thank you very much, Toma. My name is Olga Białystok, and I'm an archaeologist currently working for the Human Sciences Research Council in South Africa. The Modern Heritage of Africa conference was a really exciting exchange of ideas and a truly profound reflection on the meanings and values of modernity and modern heritage which it produced. For me personally, those 2 days were really packed with curiosity, amazement, diversity, and first of all, discovery. What I particularly enjoyed about this symposium was the depth of theoretical discussions which informed the content of the Cape Town document. The document does not shy away from the troubled origins of modernity, including its dark side, coloniality. But
the 3 people groups, and this is the average.
Sorry. The document does not shy away from the troubled origins of modernity, including its dark side, coloniality. But assuming its positive moments, it tries to imagine a future that carries hope and that offers the promise of liberation from Western modernity with its restrictive discourses and values. So for me, the Cape Town document represents a new horizon, a horizon that speaks to the cultural pluriversality of the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olga, for those words. And last but not least, I'm going to offer a few thoughts just in my capacity as member of the newly founded Heritage Hub at UCT, and particularly, unfortunately, since its founding director, our esteemed colleague Shadreck Chirikure, is not here with us this morning, to recognize his work and tireless effort in coordinating a lot of the conversation that's been happening over the last year and a half, and which culminate obviously today, and perhaps also singling out in the Cape Town document one point specifically, which is number 3 on expanding definitions, which I think is a useful reminder in the fact that the document is not a static element, but something rather than a framework for a process that calls for a design. And since I happen to be an architect and a professor of architecture, I think it's important to underline how this could be a creative project outside any specific disciplinary boundary of how heritage of Africa moves into the future. And Olga just mentioned how the future raises hopes in the sense that it's a means to imagine new meanings for the vocabulary which we use, the language which we use, in order to reflect the multiplicity of values that have been brought to the conference, but also to the entire drafting process, and redress the injustices of both the past and present for a better future. So with that, I really would like to thank again, with my personal capacity, all the contributors, all the tireless work behind the scenes that has happened to get us here, and open up the floor to any of the participants which are still with us after these long and dense 2.5 days, to see if anyone will be willing to share some remarks that can be captured as part of this process. So I'm opening it up. Mike, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you. I would just like to follow up for the, as Olga said, is that we're building on for the future. And just to highlight that November that we will be having our next event, which will be taking place under the aegis of the World Heritage Center. So we're looking forward to the next part, of which World Heritage listing is only one component part of a much wider debate. Furthermore is that we will also be bringing on board the heritage hubs as they come on together. I noticed that Purity is here. The National Museums of Kenya are a critical partner together with the AWHF, and we're looking forward to yet another debate which will bring on the intangible heritage and link this so powerfully into where we go. And we're hoping that the other hubs, which will be also reflect geographically West Africa, and will also become on board, and perhaps together with other partners, so that each month we will then have activities which will lead up to the presentation and reporting at the World Heritage Committee in hopefully in Kazan, which celebrates then 50 years of the World Heritage Convention. We do believe that our Cape Town document on modern heritage is going to change the mindset of how we look at listing of properties, sites, and monuments, and integrate them also with cultural and with natural and intangible heritage together. So I look forward that this is just a milestone which we're passing, but we're passing it at 100 miles an hour.
Thank you, Mike. Purity, please. I'm afraid there's a problem with the voice. I can't hear. I'm not sure if I'm the only one.
Perhaps we could go on with somebody
Yes.
else while Purity sorts out her.
Absolutely. If someone else wants to speak whilst Purity tries to sort the connection.
Perhaps I could just make one very important observation, and that is one of the unique aspects of this conference was that we allowed people to present both live and video presentations of performance and comment and analyze this. And I think this is very important to a conference which is dealing with questions of heritage, particularly heritage that is shared. And it was refreshing to hear these kinds of performances, and that it's not simply a performance, but that the performers themselves had very deep reflections on what they are doing, how they understand it, and where they think it's going in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Shahid. I see Purity is connected again, so I'm going to try and see if she can speak.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, about it.
Oh, perfect. It always happens. I don't know why. Sometimes I have to check out and then go back. I just wanted to say thank you very much for the invitation on behalf of the National Museums of Kenya and also the Swahili part. And one of the most important things that I think we got from the conference was bringing the youth to the discourse, because this will be very important for them now and also in the future, because we always say the youth are the future and they should understand like what's going on. I remember during the workshop that we had in Mombasa, some of the youth had some disquiet in them in terms of saying that decisions are made for them without them. So they were very happy to be part of the conference and to give their contributions. And I think this is the way that we should be going, that the youth should be represented in most of the decisions that are being made. Particularly on the Cape Town document, it's going to be very relevant to them because they have to be listened to in their reflections and discourse on how they think of modern heritage of Africa now and even in the future. So we are very excited and we look forward to further collaborations and to hearing where this document takes us. I'm speaking on behalf of the youth. Thank you. Although I'm not a youth.
No,
I'm sure you still are.
I'm the youth. Purity, I'm the youth.
Well,
Okay.
good for you.
Thank you, Purity. That was really great to hear. Alyssa Barry.
Yes, thank you very much, Thomas. I also wanted to second all the comments and thoughts that have been shared. I'm very happy and very proud of having been part of this initiative, which I think is a very important initiative for the future of African heritage. And I'm speaking as part of an international organization, which is UNESCO, but also as a young African professional. And yes, I'm very, very proud and happy to see what this initiative will bring to the future for Africa. Thank you very much to all the organizers, and happy World Heritage Day to South Africa and to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa. That was really great. Lydia Mutuma.
Thank you very much. I have truly enjoyed these meetings, and I look forward to reading the documents. Unfortunately, I got to know about the conference rather late. Now, I am a scholar. I teach at the university. I have done a sizable amount of work in heritage. I have worked on monuments in Kenya. I have looked at Dar es Salaam, the urban setup, and compared it to Nairobi. However, and I have students in class. I sit on another committee, the Memory of the World, which looks at documentary heritage, but I think we can have a very productive collaboration. I would really love to be part of this group. I wrote to Janet. Thank you very much, Janet. She told me I can send in my paper, although it's a bit late. So I just wanted to register my appreciation and that I have learned a lot. Thank you.
It's us that thank you, Lydia, for your effort and tenacity in breaking through these boundaries. We have tried hard to make it as inclusive as possible, but we still have a way to go to further the reach of our conversations. Again, many, many thanks. Anyone else would like to share thoughts? I am mindful of time and the fact that today is a public holiday in South Africa, and the efforts that we're asking also our colleagues behind the scenes in managing all of that. But I just want to make sure that all participants feel the chance to offer their last contributions to the launch of the document and the celebration of this last couple of days' work. Well, while people think about it, maybe if I can invite, I know this is more of a PR stunt than anything else, to turn on everybody to turn on your camera for just a few seconds so that we can capture a screenshot for all the participants, since we're been looking at each other mostly through black Zoom windows, which are really, that's really so nice to see all of that reflected. And I think there's much to celebrate in the effort that has gone into taking part in this event. So well done to everybody. I know that clapping doesn't work very well, but it's a real pleasure. And hopefully next events will be less constrained by the pandemic, which is continuing to afflict us. Shahid, I'm turning to you since you're the master of ceremonies. I'm merely acting as the...
All I can say is once again, I want to thank every single person that has participated in this conference. I want to thank all the technical people behind the scenes who have made this a near seamless conference, even though it's online. I hope that that people will take advantage of the fact that the proceedings of this conference will be published. We are on some very tight deadlines, but it would be really good to have these proceedings. It will also assist greatly in making sure that the Cape Town document has a substantial, is substantially informed by the publication of the proceedings. It would, and I hope that people take the ideas from this conference and the Cape Town document and continue to do the research that they are doing, and continue to do the performances and reflect on the performances that they are engaged in. And we will all meet next year at University College London, in London. And to echo Toma, we hope we'll be able to do this face-to-face, live, and that the British government relaxes their red lists in the meantime. Thank you.
Thanks, Shahid. I see Lydia has her hand up.
I'm sorry, that's a mistake.
Oh, it's okay.
Sorry.
No worries. I'm just making sure that we're not leaving words unheard.
Thank you.
Well, if that's it, I think we've made really good use of this last 45 minutes together. And I want to again echo all the thanks to all the participants, all the technical staff, all the support staff, all the colleagues that have worked tirelessly and bore the grunt of this organization, and join in wishing everyone happy Heritage Day if you're in South Africa, and if you're elsewhere, hopefully the end of the week will bring some respite. Until soon, and I'm sure that the organization will be in touch with all of you to make sure that the doubts, questions, further comments are captured. Please don't hesitate to reach out. As Lydia said, even if the paper wasn't submitted in time, we can still process the abstracts and do engage with the further development. We can't do it without all these inputs. With that, a goodbye and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.